Yo, 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 welcome to the Cosmic Embassy podcast, episode number 2. And I'm with my good friends, Aaron and Tyler of Journey to Truth podcast. So excited. How you guys doing?
Perfect, man.
Good.
What's up? How's it going?
What's up, dude? So stoked to be here with you guys.
Same.
We're-
So
I'm stoked,
excited.
man. This is awesome. I love what you've done with this. This is incredible.
Yeah, this is so great. Yeah, we made the T-bar in the last 2 weeks, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. We'll make a video about that. But so what I want to talk about is I'm with the homies right now. The last time we were kind of together was on your podcast,
Sure.
which is awesome. Everybody who listens to this, check out Journey to the Truth podcast. And you guys have just been killing it. Like, do you have a schedule or something? Because they're just crushing out guests like every week. Like,
Thank you.
yeah, that's actually inspired me because I'm like, God, I got slacking.
Yeah, it's been difficult, but we try and keep a schedule lined up. A lot of times people drop out and we're scrambling to fill in. But,
Right.
the stars always align, and it always is meant to be, and we always understand why it happens the way it does. So
Totally. You guys want some tea?
yes,
I would love some tea.
Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly. That's really the only reason I wanted to do this.
Yeah, it's for the free tea. I mean,
the
that's-
only reason he agreed
let's
to
be
it.
Yeah.
real.
Some free tea. Watch it just be water. He's like, oh, I forgot to add that.
I forgot to put
It's
herbs
just
in
water.
it. We don't actually put herbs in it. We bless it so much that it starts to taste like something.
Are we going to do a toast
Yeah, well.
or cheers? All right.
And you guys do air tips.
Air toast. All right.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah, definitely
Oh,
just
that's-
water.
That's really good.
You don't
Yeah, it's just
don't
water.
serve this to people, do you? Actually, it's really good. It's really
It's
good.
in there. Yeah, so
This is ayahuasca, actually.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an
this is a
interesting podcast.
medicinal brew.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm so stoked to be here with you guys. We're at E.T.s Ranch 2019 4th of July weekend. So cool that we got to spend the 4th of July here, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, instead
So
of
cool.
fireworks, we got UFO show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the first night I
Yeah.
was here, I put on James Gilliland's what do you call it? Night vision goggles, like the third gen, and I literally was seeing like stuff in the sky, like instantly, like everywhere. I was like cursing, like what? And I saw this thing with a tail. Like I literally saw like a little being in the sky with a tail, like a sky sperm.
Wow.
Skyscraper.
Well, those we got to try those glasses, those goggles the other night, and it is a game changer.
Oh
It
yeah.
is.
You can see so much more.
It
with
is
them.
unbelievable what's out there that you just don't see with your naked eye.
Totally.
And then the infrared, I haven't even got to try those yet. So I
Yeah, I
mean,
haven't
the
either,
energy
yeah.
out here is wild alone, and then getting to
Yeah.
see the stuff it's pretty cool.
It is, and I don't know. I'm sure you guys are probably the same, but I've been wanting to come here for a long time.
2 years.
Yeah.
Since I've known about it, I've been waiting.
Yeah,
down
that's
here.
probably. I
Yeah.
guess that's a long time for me. Yeah.
For me, it seems like a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about James Gilliland, and I was like, and also like the part of Washington this is. If you're not familiar, whoever is listening, this is in like kind of southeast Washington.
South Central.
South Central?
It's
Yeah.
not. It's closer to California than it is.
Oregon. It's closer to
Yeah.
Oregon.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's this
So close to the Oregon
epic
border.
mountain that kind of looks like Mount Shasta. It's called Mount Adams. We'll put a shot of that in right now if you're watching. But it's so beautiful. It's actually kind of cloaked in clouds
Yeah, we
right
can see
now.
it from here.
Yeah.
But it's so beautiful, and yeah, we're stoked. So I want to talk to you guys about. I want to talk to you about the fractal universe.
Yeah.
All right, bring it on.
Totally.
Right? Let's
I'm all right with.
let's just jump right in it. So I was thinking, like, if the universe is a fractal, then that means like every element that's in the universe is in my body, right?
As above, so below. Correct.
But you know what I never thought of till just now? This is new to this exact moment with you guys. That would also include like elements we don't even know about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, as we know just from all of us researching this information, we have DNA in us from other star systems and stuff that we've never been told about. When we're eventually going to learn that.
Totally.
So it only makes sense, that we're just filled with stuff we've yet to discover.
Totally. And that brings up a
Yeah.
whole nother subject, was like, like what happens when we actually find out like our galactic lineage? You know.
That's gonna be
Yeah.
amazing. I definitely I remember seeing somewhere somebody talking about how cool it'd be if we had an app that you can get on like a family tree or ancestry.com, except you can find out
Except
what
for
star systems you're from.
Galactic
Oh
family.
my
Yeah.
God! GalacticAncestry.com
Dude,
by Koala.
dude, that's a good
Post-
idea. We need to start
that's
that.
Post shift.
We're gonna take you.
technology.
Journey to
Steal
truth.
your
Yeah.
idea.
Journey to Cosmic Family Truth genealogy tests.
Galactic family.
We'll send them to you in the mail, and we're not indexing it. Don't worry. I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, but that brings up a whole nother subject, which is like, you know, I've heard like, you know, that like the human race or whatever, like the 5 stars, Corey and others call it, you know, like we got a head and
It's a
to-
template for our
Yeah.
universe. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
all throughout the universe. And maybe a lot of people who listen to this don't really know this, but the 5-star shape, like we are, like think of like the starfish or the human with the head and the arms and the legs, like that repeats like all throughout the
Yeah.
universe in different permutations.
Shows
like,
up all throughout. Yeah.
and there's infinite versions, you know, potentially.
Absolutely.
Like we don't even know, like there could be crazy like squid like human people. Like there's
Well,
gotta be.
Well, who's to say that
Yeah.
some of these sea creatures aren't? I don't believe many of them are of Earth origin. I think some of them are from other star systems to
Oh, yeah.
begin with.
Well, you-
squid,
Octopus is
whales,
totally-
dolphins.
Totally.
Yeah.
We discovered some of that
Dolphins.
in Cosmic Waves in Hawaii. Joan Ocean says dolphins are not of this planet.
Yeah, I had heard
Yup.
that they were from Sirius.
Yeah,
That all the
Sirius?
cetaceans, like whales, dolphins, and
I've heard that as well. Yeah.
who knows
They're
where
from
they're actually
Sirius.
from. But
And she also said Europa, I believe.
Oh really?
Frozen moon of
Moon of
Jupiter.
Jupiter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she said that what she understands is they have a very thick skull like they do in the Arctic, and if they need to breathe, because it's an ice planet as far as we know, but they come to the surface, bust the ice. And,
whoa.
Uh,
So they're kind of like unicorn, like ice breaking, like whales.
Yeah, and they actually portal. There's
unicorn
the
ice
theory.
breaking whales.
The theory is they actually portal from Earth to there
Whoa.
at night.
So they deliberately come here.
Yeah, at night they
Mm.
literally. So the science that we're taught, like they were telling us, like they teach us that they go and reside in deep waters and this stuff. That's where they are at night, but
Mm-hmm.
no one has any documents of it, no footage of it. So what's really happening? They're going somewhere, and a couple of them out
You
there.
mean like natural stargates or something?
Absolutely, yes.
Whoa.
And she-
never
That's awesome.
thought of that.
Her and her pod
Wow.
leaders actually claim to have seen them go through these portals.
Whoa.
Really?
So
That's really cool.
It just opens up a whole new world.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
never thought of that. The thing I want to jump in about that too is like I made a video a little bit ago about panspermia, which is a theory that all life came from space,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah.
is like the total opposite of what
Yeah.
we've been taught.
Yeah.
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 Like we've been
We're-
taught like the universe is
It's-
sterile. Like
This
we're-
is the only planet with life.
this is some
where
weird
life
anomaly.
originated.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
You're just some random like miracle thing.
Yeah. Well, they've reversed everything when you look at it.
Mhm.
When you find out the truth and then you find out what we're taught, it's always the exact reverse, exact opposite
Exactly.
of what
Just 180.
of what the
They
truth
say
is.
it's
Yeah, they
sterile. That
reverse
means it's
everything.
like infested with life everywhere.
Exactly.
We're taught to do the same with mainstream news. I mean, just take the story and 180 it, and then you get
And then you get the truth. Yeah.
Totally.
Or
Yeah.
very close to the truth.
He was
yeah.
murdered. No, he was. Or no, he killed himself. No, he
No,
was
he was
murdered.
murdered.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Yep. And then the one that I was thinking of right when you brought that up was specifically like the cephalopods, like the squids
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
like the cuttlefish
Mhm.
and stuff like that. Like we basically have scientific, like factual evidence that proves they're not from this planet, which is so interesting. And now like a bunch of semi-mainstream scientists are saying like, yo, the
They're not
eggs
from here.
the eggs
Yeah.
the eggs, like the octopus eggs, like they kind of maybe sort of possibly came on an asteroid, like freeze dried, and that would kind of
Freeze.
be the only explanation for like why they're so much more advanced than us. Because basically if you look
Yeah.
at their genetics and you look at our genetics or any of the other sea creatures, they're just like millions of years ahead of us.
Yeah. So
And there's like
you
no
can't
one
explain evolution through. They're like,
exactly.
there's no way it could have evolved.
Basically, there's a bunch of
from
missing
the
time.
Yeah.
same- Yeah.
There's a bunch of missing
Totally.
time in the evolution of the cephalopod. So then you're like,
Well, have you heard the story about
Yeah.
the like extremely intelligent octopus they discovered up in Antarctica in an expedition like a few years back.
I did hear about that. Yeah.
Obviously, we don't have any way of proving that story, but it wouldn't surprise me if they did discover something like that underneath the ice, because we know there's tons going on up there.
Oh my god.
Well,
down
they
there.
know what's underneath the
Yeah.
ice. It's just a matter of
Actually, what's interesting is the newest.
bringing it out.
I know ancient aliens may have been, I don't know, corrupted or, but
Infiltrated.
infiltrated is the word
probably.
I
They
was
had
looking for.
Podesta in the newest
Podesta.
Yeah. But
season.
Pushing
the
that
most
narrative.
God.
the most recent episode I know was disclaiming under cities under Antarctica.
Really?
New recent discoveries.
Oh, really?
So it's what we've been hearing
Soft
about.
disclosure.
It's soft disclosure. Yeah.
It's
Wow.
the limited hangout.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Narrative,
So, and one of the things that have you guys ever heard of or read or know of the Smoky God?
Only
You heard of it?
No.
from
No?
the only one that comes to mind is from Lost. If you've ever watched that TV
Yeah,
show.
the smoke monster from Lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
So the Smoky God was a a book that was written in like late 1800s or early 1900s, but the experiences were in late 1800s, and it was about this like Norwegian guy and his son, or Finnish or somewhere up there. I don't know the exact country, but they live in like a fishing village, like kind of like way high north. And they're Norse. They're into Norse mythology, you know, but whatever. And his father, it's like a son and his father, and the father's saying like, "There's a land beyond the north wind, and there's all these fair people there, and it's like a paradise, and like we've been told about it from Odin and all these other, you know, gods for the longest time, and they really
Yeah.
believe that."
Got Odin right here.
Oh, whoa!
Nice.
The Allfather.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Never noticed that.
We'll get
Wow.
a close up of that and cut it in. So so get this. So he finally says like, do you want to go on a journey to the land beyond the north wind with me, son? And he says yes. And so they basically pack up a sailboat and they just go. They have a compass and they just go straight for the North Pole, like ballsy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
that's
going straight for the North Pole. We're gonna get there. And so, you know, long story short, they have this hard journey, and they end up making it like through these ice passages. And then they say after this ice wall, the waters actually get warmer, and there's no ice. There's like an inner sea at the very North Pole. There's like an inner sea that's not ice at all, which would mean all the maps we're shown are completely fake,
Completely wrong.
or at least modified.
Modified.
And then this is the key. He says that gravity actually starts to bend like a torus, and you can actually see birds like flying over the
What?
edge of gravity
Oh, I've
and
heard
down
this, yeah.
in. And at a certain point, the salt water turns fresh.
So that's the inner Earth. It's the inner
That's
Earth
that's
opening.
like when you reach the threshold.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
then they go. It's incredible, and you can get an audiobook on YouTube for free. And it's like a 2-3 hour. It's like really short. I highly recommend.
It's a smoky. Yeah,
They're called The Smoky God.
I have to look into that.
You
Yeah,
have to.
totally.
You have to. And it's old too. And the guy who wrote it claimed it was true. You know, people say it's fiction or nonfiction, whatever.
What's interesting is this lines up with other research because there's one point in my journey of rabbit holing.
Yeah.
I was just inner Earth, hollow Earth, you know, whatever.
Oh yeah.
And
Same here.
a lot
yeah.
of that, what you just described, is exactly what others describe.
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
I remember hearing there's an opening on the North Pole. What you just said, like there's a opening, and then you go into it, and then you're going into the hollow Earth.
Totally.
And, well, first I heard the theory that it's like, so there's the outside Earth, and then the inside is like, you know, all completely hollowed out, like a hollow ball or something, and then you live on like the inside.
And then
And
Corey
there's a
says
central,
it's a
and there's a
honeycomb.
central sun, and that's the sun in there. But Corey's information makes a lot more sense to me, that it's actually like a honeycomb.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's giant caverns, and that when
Totally.
planets naturally form, they always naturally
Totally.
form with those.
And I think they could be
Caverns.
happening at the same time. I mean, like there could
Or
be like
that.
these giant pockets, and maybe like the top in the north. Maybe there's like a central channel that is like really
It
connected.
could definitely
And then
be
there's
that
like all
too.
these pockets because they
Mhm.
said in the book that the crust of the earth is only 300 miles thick, and then like everything else is like he said there's continents and oceans and like
Yeah.
giant rivers and like all
Giant-
these different civilizations.
Giant beans. Too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so and that's thanks for
Yeah.
saying that because they basically crashed their ship
The red
in the North Pole, and they're like thinking they're effed, you know.
Yeah.
And then this huge ship, like giant ship, like beautiful, like with all this like they'd never seen anything like super intricate, beautiful ship comes up, and there's these giant beings on it. The shortest one is like 12 foot tall. And they're like beautiful, like gorgeous, big, huge beards. They later find out that their language is basically Sanskrit, which is really interesting. And then there's just all these dynamics that they mention in the book that seemed like really, really real, based on just my intuition, but also what we've heard from Corey and other people who have
Yeah.
direct information. One of the things that I hadn't heard anywhere that I thought that was super interesting is they said that at a certain time of year, when like when it's like 24 hours sunlight on the North Pole,
Sure.
they said
Yeah.
at that time of year it's really special for the inner earth people because the light shines in the opening.
Oh,
Ooh,
wow! I've never thought about
nice.
that.
Never thought about that.
No.
So they get to really sunbathe.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So they get
concept, right?
the outside sunlight instead of just there. Yeah.
And so there's all these cities and places like, and they describe the whole journey. They stay in there for 2 years. They like ask the leader to like have them teach them and take them all around, and they do. And they go to all these different cities, interact with the culture, and they're like talking about seeing like giant fruit, like apples, like bigger than a head, and like
Oh, yeah.
grapes
Wow.
that are like 6 feet long, like vines. And then, okay, so the reason it's called the Smoky God is that there is this like ball, like it's like a inner sun,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's like saying like the nucleus of the earth. Like what is the heart of the earth, and like what if that's an actual thing that you could see, you know?
Mhm.
And they describe it as like this giant kind of fiery ball, except for it has like this mist around it, so it's not actually smoke, it's like mist, like it's like a
Sure.
water.
Oh.
Just resembles
And-
smoke.
yeah, and then the light is like kind of coming through it like it would come through mist,
Yeah.
you know, and that's why they call it the Smoky God. And the people in there, they like worship it kind of like not as like a god, but it's like that's like
Well, I've heard it. It's also like that's like pure creator source energy is what is contained in that inner earth sun. If it's the same thing, you know, I don't know. We've never been there, but
totally
it's
yet.
yeah,
Yeah.
or we have, and we just don't
Or
remember.
no, we
Totally.
have.
So if that's
Or have we?
yeah.
Or have we?
So when
No,
I meditate,
seriously.
I actually try and connect to that smoky God
Mm.
and bring that
I
energy
haven't
up.
tried that. It's a good
and
idea.
I bring that energy up through, you know, my heels and my feet, and then
Mm-hmm.
and then almost like a toroidal field, you bring it out and then back through the
Cycle
earth,
it back.
and then just like create that cycle,
Totally.
and then go into meditation.
I guess I have tried that before because you know they say like let the golden anchor go down and then
Yeah.
like root into the center of the earth, and that would be like literally the pure center, you know, if it's real, I would imagine.
Yeah, And,
Yeah.
there's no wrong way to do it. you know,
Totally.
And everybody has different terminology for the same stuff. You know, we find that out every day, especially, you know,
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like just to wrap up the Smoky God, so they get they're in there for 2 years and they finally decide to go back to society, and the inner earth people are like, we don't recommend it. It's like
Yeah.
super dangerous. Like, we're not gonna hold you if you want to go, but like
Good luck. Yeah.
good
Yeah.
luck,
Yeah.
basically.
Interesting.
And so they take them all the way through. They say there's a wind going all the way north to south. From the North Pole to the South Pole, there's always a wind flowing one direction, which makes sense with the magnetics. It's really interesting
Yeah.
to
The
consider.
toroidal field.
It's
That
like-
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. But so they end up leaving, and they exit out of the South Pole. And they leave them with a bunch of supplies and their original ship that they came with all fixed up, and they fill it with gold and all these maps of inner earth that they can bring back to the culture. And then of course when they're leaving the South Pole, long story short, they end up hitting an iceberg and the ship crashes. They lose everything and his dad dies.
Oh, wow.
And so now this son is stranded on like a fucking iceberg. I'll have to bleep that
What?
out. On an iceberg. Like
It's a family show.
Kind of. I don't know.
Kind of?
Haven't decided that yet.
Nah.
I'm gonna be at festivals. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But so he crashes. His father dies, and he's stranded on an iceberg in the South Pole, dude. Can you imagine? And then just by chance, some whaling boat comes by and picks him up. And he's like so grateful, and he sits with the captain and tells him everything that happened. He's so excited to tell him about his last couple years and like everything that's happened. And the captain just thinks he's insane and immediately puts him in cuffs and throws him in the brig.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And then they finally let him out because he basically changes his story because they won't believe him.
Yeah.
And so if he says that, they're like, you're crazy. So then he changed his story, and so they let him out. And then he ends up going back to. Then he ends up going to the United. He goes back to his hometown, but then he ends up going to the United States and living like near LA, and like they lock him in an insane asylum for like 28 years
Wow.
What? Just for telling that story.
because no one believes him.
They just thought he was crazy.
Well,
And then once he gets out of that, he like goes and works as a fisherman for another 30 years. And then he meets this like high up like publisher in LA and tells his whole story right before he dies.
wow.
And he gives like all the documentation and he gives it to him and then he dies.
Really?
And that's the story of the Smoky God basically.
That's incredible. I
It's
love that.
crazy, right?
Wow.
I love
Yeah.
that.
And when I
It is.
first heard it, like when I was starting to awaken, I didn't even really know if I believed in extraterrestrials. I heard about inner Earth and it like gave me butterflies. Like
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah.
Something
I know the
ab-
feeling. I know the feeling.
something
Yeah.
about it, like
You just resonated. Yeah.
I knew it
You're
was
like,
real.
You knew it was real, but
I didn't know what
but
it
you didn't
looked
know
like.
logically like why you're feeling that way. Yeah.
I didn't know what
You
it
just
looked
knew.
like, but I knew it was real.
Same feeling I got with Bigfoot my entire life. And then I come down
Yeah.
here.
I've actually got.
Come down here and having the amazing experiences already. So
Yeah, did you get your butt grabbed by Bigfoot?
Not
no,
yet,
but
not yet.
I did get a rock thrown at me.
Oh yeah, he told
me Yeah. that.
And I
Tyler got
did
a rock.
hear one, and I did hear some tree knocking outside my tent. So it's been pretty. And
Tyler's had some experiences. already.
actually,
Yeah.
my girlfriend Alicia found a footprint this morning. She got a couple photographs.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, dude, I want to see those.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then there was a woman at this vortex over here the other day, and she said that she went out there wanting to make contact with Bigfoot,
Mhm.
and she literally like said in her mind like, "I want to connect with you if you're out here," and then somebody grabbed her butt,
Yeah, and
Really?
nobody was there.
and
I
she
heard
turned,
that story.
She turned
yeah.
around, there was nothing,
Yeah.
and
Dude,
she like
that's-
she swears by it, dude. This was just a day ago here.
Well, that's similar to the story James tells, where he said a lady went out to the field and goes, "Bigfoot, I love you," and he phased in behind her, patted her on the butt, and then phased out.
Dude,
Yeah.
Bigfoot,
Yeah.
Bigfoot's a creep, man.
So yeah, Bigfoot's a creep.
Then he just,
Oh, man.
he's just one of us in another form. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like giggity.
That's like
Yeah.
his joke. He just thinks it's
Yeah.
really funny to
I mean, think about it.
smack people in the butt and grab their butt.
If you understood life, you could do whatever you want, and just you had it all mastered. You just pop in a dimension. Smack,
Oh yeah,
smack.
totally. Yeah,
Pop back out. That's how you have fun.
yeah.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
That's
Yeah, and then I had heard that actually Bigfoot was like us that hadn't been modified by extraterrestrials. Had you guys heard that?
I've heard so many theories,
I
but no, I
know.
have not heard that.
I
one,
haven't heard
actually.
that one yet.
Like
it's
like
like-
we have that root. Like we're actually like we're family. Like we're some like estranged cousins.
Really,
That's interesting.
I wouldn't
So-
doubt it.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I wouldn't doubt anything at this point, honestly.
yeah, it's hard, and there's many possibilities. There's many timelines.
Exactly.
What's true for you may not be true for somebody else. It's just a whole.
I've heard there's some kind of they're like a guardian race in some way, so they're here kind of protecting the planet in
Mhm.
a way.
And like indexing the nature and stuff. Didn't
yeah.
Emery or Corey say that or
Yeah,
something?
Yeah,
yeah.
That's
I
what.
think
Oh
so.
yeah, Emery had a fascinating intel on what he had discovered via his research.
Yeah, his was the most clear I'd heard.
Yeah, well, and he had actually dissected, or autopsied the
Right.
body.
Yeah.
So he knows intimately.
So and prior to the autopsy, they're briefed on the species.
Yeah. And
So-
he was asked by George Norrie, like, what are they? Or are they interdimensional? And he's like, oh yeah, they're interdimensional. They phase in and out. like
Yeah.
like it was like common fact. So
Yeah.
Yeah, no big deal.
and he's got the insight, you know.
But my favorite
Inside
part about
info.
what he said was that if they get sick or ill, they lose the ability to basically teleport or phase in and out. So they get
Mhm.
stuck here. And that's why you see.
I've heard that,
That's
yeah.
why a town will have like a sighting for years. You know, you'll see the same one all the time.
Mhm.
Because they got trapped.
And then he said they do get
That's
left.
like their
They
zone.
do get left behind. He said,
Whoa.
if they're on a mission or whatever.
Wonder how many there are.
Or
There's a
who
place
knows.
near-
it's probably a lot.
There's a
yeah.
place in Northern California. I won't say it on the recording just to protect it, but there's a place in Northern California where there's one of the deepest caves in the world, and I happen to know that it's one of the inner Earth entrances. Although it would be a very arduous journey, but there's also reports of Bigfoot there, like direct reports, like from 1800s and
Yeah.
Yeah.
even before, and they say that they live in the caves, and it's interesting because it's like one of the deepest caves in the world, but it's not on any maps, and you can't find it anywhere on the internet because they don't want people going
'Cause they
there.
don't want people going there.
It's totally open. There's no gate on it or anything, and maybe
Really?
Bigfoot's there, but also just on a more simple standpoint, some of these ecosystems in the caves are so delicate and precious and like
Mhm.
Endangered.
endangered.
Essentially,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like if you go in there and take a poo, like it's gonna be there for a million years,
Fucked up the whole thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be there
All your
forever.
fault. Yeah.
It's like a McDonald's burger; it will never mold.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So when we all go to Inner Earth, we just got to make sure we bring poo bags.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
Well,
a dog,
actually,
like a
no,
dog,
no,
you gotta
no.
like.
Hopefully
clean
we
up
go
after
in.
your own
Hopefully
food.
we go in the good way, and we don't have to like go on like a dangerous journey to get there. But I don't know. That's kind of part of the fun too.
Allegedly, like the main entrances aren't physical; they're actually portals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard that too.
Well-
from my understanding is that it's actually very difficult to physically get to
Mhm.
some of these
Mhm.
locations if it's at all possible.
I can see that, but
Well, I've heard-
I can also see that there would be entrances at the top and the bottom, like
Yeah.
intuitively, just because
Yeah.
of like
Well, there has to be.
think of the shape of an apple.
Yeah.
Like that is the fractal toroid.
Mhm.
It's going in the top and it's coming out the bottom. It's like recycling. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just saying. I've heard a lot of the beings in Inner Earth are in like the fifth dimension. Actually, they're not even. So like if we went in there,
We wouldn't.
we wouldn't
find
even
them.
see them at all because they're not in this dimension.
It's
And that's what Corey said. The Antrar, they actually exist in the, or in fourth density, fifth dimension, whatever, a higher dimension,
Mhm.
basically.
essentially what
Um,
Ben was describing about this mountain the other night. You know,
Totally.
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
a-
same thing.
What's
Exactly.
actually
It's in a
there,
different
and
dimension.
another dimension is a
Mhm.
city,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
paradise.
Yeah, and then Corey, I remember him saying the first thing they would do when they would bring him there is they would like have to cleanse him and like detox him basically, like so he's not bringing all this disease or parasites. or
Totally.
Makes
anything.
perfect
Yeah.
sense.
So
Totally.
like so if we just went in there without doing that, we could like fuck up their whole ecosystem.
Well, yeah,
and, like,
same
really cause some
concept.
problems.
Yeah, same concept as the poo. That's a good point.
Mhm.
But on
Yeah.
a different level,
Yeah.
which is they have these really pristine environments.
Mhm.
And they have to be fully symbiotic because they're sealed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you're in a terrarium, like you want to make sure no crazy stuff goes in there because it's gonna be in there.
It's kind of like same thing I just found out. If you're trying to move to Hawaii and you want to bring your pet, they got to keep your pet for 3 days and make sure it has
Get
no
like a billion vaccines.
yeah,
Yeah.
make sure it has no diseases and it's
Exactly.
not carrying anything over to the island.
Mhm.
I mean, that logic work is a universal logic.
Exactly.
We can't go into space with they can't come here. That we all have to protect.
I think he said the
ourselves.
AI was the biggest threat because our bodies are actually infested with like AI
Nanites.
nanites,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and so we would be bringing that there, and that's like really bad. So they have to like clear all that out.
Which is a good thing to bring up too, which is detoxing heavy metals.
Yes, very
Because Corey had
important.
mentioned that's going to become more and more and more and more and more and more important, which intuitively
Oh,
makes
yeah.
sense to me.
Mhm.
Because like as we like speed up our frequency and we become more conductive, like especially if you have all these like chaotic metals. But the good news is, it's not like you don't have to go buy some fancy like crazy thing or take some crazy course to like detox heavy metals. I'll give you the secret right now. Anybody listening or watching, chlorella,
Mhm.
Yes,
spirulina,
Spirulina.
Spirulina.
and cilantro.
cilantro. Yes,
Cilantro.
That's it.
Interesting.
Dude, you can get organic cilantro for like $1.
you can get
For,
it
like, a
at
bunch.
Aldi for like less than $1.
Yeah.
I think.
Go get a couple of them and just
If
mega
you know what
bomb
Aldi
it
is.
because it chelates and chelates when it grabs the heavy metals and it actually flushes them out of the body.
Wow.
And some of the stuff it grabs it, but then it just moves it around the body. But
Mhm.
spirulina and chlorella and cilantro are some of the only things they actually they lock onto the heavy metals, and you just get rid of them.
And one of the reasons that that's so important to detox that is from what I understand, is this 5G, this not just 5G, but all of the EMFs, the frequencies that we live in. That's essentially microwaving us. And what happens when you put metal in a microwave?
Totally.
Exactly.
So what's it doing to our bodies?
What's it? Yeah,
That's
about that.
interesting.
So if that 5G switch was flipped on,
Wanna start sparking?
I mean, you spontaneously combust.
yeah, we all spontaneously combust.
It's
But-
actually a real concern. It
Isn't-
sounds funny, but it's a real concern.
Yeah.
Isn't there
Totally.
already like 5G in a lot of the Wi-Fi's though?
It's
Is that different?
yeah. It's
Because
It's different in some way. I've
5
heard.
gigahertz. It's not a millimeter
It's not the
wave or-
5G that we're thinking of.
no,
It's something else.
They've rolled
Yeah.
out a 5G. It's like pre-5G.
Yeah.
I forgot what the term. There's a word for
But
it.
they're just calling it 5G.
Yeah, but
right?
it's actually it's essentially false advertising. They're just putting out a product that people 5G. You
They're
know,
just getting people used to it, huh?
yeah, exactly.
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why, like, I feel like the Alliance, they had to take control of the 5G because as soon as they flip that switch on, we're screwed.
Dunzo.
We're screwed. Yeah, so that's why
Dunzo.
Trump, like what Jordan Sather was saying in his talk, like, it's appearing as if Trump, it appeared as if he said he's in support of 5G, but he's got to play the optics game, and like just because the Alliance is gonna gain control of the 5G, so they have control of the switch, so they can keep it off. So
Hopefully.
yeah.
or he made the 5G or 6G even, and it's like, so what's 6G? Maybe that's like a
Is that even a
Maybe that's
thing,
free
or is that
energy.
just a Trumpism?
or maybe
yeah.
maybe that will be like a beneficial frequency that'll actually like
Yeah.
help us and heal
Well, that's
us.
a good thing to point out because I lived at this Tibetan Buddhist monastery for a while, and one of the people that came in was this electrical engineer from the States, and I talked to her for a while, and she literally is a person who's like programming like the router before it gets manufactured.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So she knows like all the frequencies down to like the tiniest little bit. You know what she said? She said that if we changed all of our cell phone frequencies and all of our Wi-Fi frequencies just a little bit, they would actually be really good for you.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like the whole.
It's like it's just out of tune.
Yeah, it's just slightly out of tune, so it's disharmonious. So that's like the whole 440, 432 thing. All music used to be in 432 until like the early 20th century or something, when I think the Rockefellers like were behind the change to 440 because they knew that would like it was disharmonious, so it's actually like harming us every time we're listening to 440.
Yeah, it
It's
just
like
keeps us
harming
off.
every cell in our body. Yeah, it
Mhm.
keeps us at a lower frequency.
Yeah,
So-
it's fascinating stuff as we become more and more in tune with the fact that we are vibrational beings living in a vibrational universe.
Hmm.
And then you realize, like, oh my God, like musical terms apply to everything. Like, if you want to understand
Yeah.
dimensions, understand octaves. If you want to understand, like,
Yep.
health or ill health, like, understand, like, being in tune or being out of tune. And, like, if you're just trying to play your guitar and it's, like, totally
Exactly.
out of tune, like, it's going to sound like crap. And we meet people all the time that just sound like crap, like their energy, if you will, because they don't even realize they're out of tune. They're just going around going, like,
Well, and you can
Yeah.
you can actually physically test it on water. You know,
Yeah,
you could
totally.
play
Well,
different.
Dr. Emoto.
Emoto.
Yeah.
Jinx.
Jinx.
Yeah, and that's where I was going with it.
almost double cheeks.
Jinx, you owe him a T. I
Dude,
think.
we're like synchronicity right now.
You owe
This
him a
is-
T.
You owe me a T.
Jinx, you owe me a T.
Jinx, you owe me a T.
That's got to be the ongoing joke on this show.
Yeah.
I like the little cups because then you just keep pouring them and it's not overwhelming.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know what
I
I
love the
mean?
little shots of tea.
Yeah,
This is
we
great.
can-
I've never done shots of
It's
tea
a tea
before.
party
until
that
now.
we always wanted to have, right?
It's actually great too because this is one
Totally.
of the secrets of the Cosmic Embassy. Any fans in who are watching this are gonna love this. One of the secrets of the Cosmic Embassy we're gonna reveal in episode 2 with Koala and Coon. Here's one of the secrets of
Koala and Coon. I like the last name.
that could be like a cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Koala and Coon.
Koala and Coon.
Dude, so one of the secrets of the embassy is we use these tiny gung fu cups because people come in at festivals and they're so thirsty. and they just have to keep asking for more and more tea. And then we're telling them more and more about the secret space program and the universe and
Ooh,
extraterrestrials.
I like this.
And like, I'm thirsty. I'm like, hold on, just one second. You know, let me tell you about William Tompkins while I'm steep in this. You know what I'm saying?
Let me tell you about
that's
William
great.
Tompkins.
If I just pour you a full cup, you're just gonna drink it and walk out.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's like a bar will
Genius.
put out
Man. It's so
a
genius.
bar will say free drinks for happy hour, and then or no, free wings for happy
Yeah.
hour, and they'll put out
Same
all these
concept.
hot wings, and then you keep buying drinks.
Keep buying
you know,
drinks.
Because it's so hot.
Because, yeah,
Yep.
same concept, but you're just using it in the 5D world now.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah,
The 5D.
I love it.
Yeah.
I
Well,
love
this feels good. I feel pretty complete. How do you guys feel?
great.
I feel
this is awesome.
amazing.
Yeah,
I'm
this
so
is
happy to
great.
be on here. Thanks for having us
Sweet.
on. Here.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yes.
just the first time. I'll have you guys on many times, and I'm excited to be on yours again as
Yeah.
well.
Oh,
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We'll,
We'll
have
get you
again.
on video. We weren't even
Yeah.
blossomed into videos.
Totally.
Yet at that time,
Yeah.
So,
It was
Totally.
phase 1. Yeah.
yeah.
That's so great. Yeah, I love you guys, and
Likewise.
High
Likewise.
fives?
Bro fives. High fives.
bro
There you go.
fives. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're about to go to watch a panel of
Yeah, I think Jordan Sather, Corey Good, Peter maybe.
Peter Slattery.
Aaron, the plasma guy,
Yeah, I think that's
Jonah.
it.
Jonah.
Jonah,
Yeah.
right? Jonah.
Yeah, I'm the
Jonah.
plasma guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Aaron.
By the way, I made this.
Yeah, so
That's me.
Yeah.
uh,
It's me. Secret.
definitely, man. We're
Awesome.
Let's go.
That feels
enjoy it.
great. All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching the Cosmic Embassy podcast. We'll see you next time. And remember to check out Journey to Truth podcast on Facebook and all the socials. And then YouTube, Spotify, iTunes.
SoundCloud.
Just
SoundCloud.
download it all and listen to it while
It's-
you're driving around. That's really the best thing to do,
Oh, yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah,
And subscribe to
totally.
the Cosmic Embassy. We love you so much. We'll see you soon. Peace out, universe.
Later.
Peace out.